All right, this is some episode of Theater School Rejects. I think it's like 17 now. Like, holy shit.
Something.
How did we get to 17?
Yeah.
And so I want to say hi to our 3 listeners.
Hello. Thank you for continuing to listen to us just ramble. And on occasion make the inappropriate joke.
Yeah. So we just did another show of Theater School Rejects number 5, the live version where people come out and see, and it was we had 3 whole audience members, so it kind of like our podcast right there.
Yeah.
About equivalent.
Right? Theater School Rejects is consistent across the board. 3 audience members, 3 listeners.
But we had some new comics, and V and Andrew, they did good.
Yeah.
You know, and Dave came back and played some more flute.
Laid down.
Yeah, that was the innovation. Oh, and I got to heckle him a bit. I got to silently heckle him because he reached out to me. He's like, "Was that funny?" And I kind of just did. I'm doing a hand gesture on a podcast, but I kind of moved my hand. And he's like, "Should I just play the flute?" And I'm like, give him a big thumbs up. And the audience kind of cracked up. And he's like, "Man, you're funnier than me." Silently.
Yeah, that's a funny dude. I like that whole stick he has with playing his flute. You know, if people don't laugh, and then he plays it anyway, which then makes people laugh. I think it's a really interesting vehicle to move his set along.
Well, before I got into comedy, like before I started going like to do Flappers in Burbank and started doing their open mics and stuff, I dabbled a little bit. There was a coffee shop in Irvine that he used to go to.
Oh, no kidding.
And they would have an open mic, and we went twice. Yeah, I think we went twice. Maybe once, maybe twice. And did stand-up. I think it was only once. And we were there, and I did, like, it was mostly for poetry and music, but there was, like, us, and there was, like, another comic who, like, performed at that point, but he was, like, trying to test out material. And so I went and did 3 minutes, and then he did his 3 minutes, and, like, you know, didn't play the flute. And the guy came up to us, and he's like, to me, he goes, you know, you've got a lot of potential. I think, like, you could, you know, hone that and do something with it. And I didn't for, like, another 2 years. But, like, but I was like, that's pretty cool. And then Dave unwisely goes, what about me? And the guy looks at him and goes, well, you know, you're really good at playing the flute. You do that really well.
Stick with the flute playing, sir. Don't quit your day job.
He did not take that well. Because we were in a Toastmasters club together for a bit.
What's a Toastmasters club?
That's like those public speaking clubs.
Like you go up and like tell, not tell, but
yeah, you
like
do
read speeches and stuff?
Yeah, exactly, yeah. That's how I knew him. He was president of a club that was like struggling, and I was trying to help him like get people to come regularly. But like,
that sounds like us.
But most Toastmaster clubs are full of pricks, though. So like, and apparently that works because his club was very relaxed and fun and had nobody in it.
Oh,
whereas
sure.
like there was a club at the same time that was like in Huntington Beach, and it had like 17 positions, and they all rose to salute the flag, and it was just like,
wow.
It just was, oh man, it was so terrible.
Sounds a little pretentious.
It's fucking regimented and pretentious, and it's like, dude, the fuck is wrong with y'all people? You think this is fun?
Yeah.
It's like I went to I don't know, this was equivalent, but I went to a LARP. Actual playing it for Vampire Masquerade, and they were doing like
the Vampire Masquerade LARPing.
That part's fun, like being a vampire and having a fake gun in your pocket and whatever.
Yeah.
But then they have these meetings to discuss policy, and they really do the meetings, and they ask questions, and I just walked out, and they're like, dude, what happened? I'm like, who fucking think that's a good use of your time? Let's pretend to do a meeting. I hate meetings I get paid to do. Fuck that.
Right. Like, I don't like fucking going to meetings anyway. Especially meetings for a pretend universe, for policy in that pretend universe. What the fuck?
And so I'm like the same thing. Like, I get public speaking is like a fear or something you can learn or enjoy doing. But, like, let's talk about who's going to be the next scorekeeper or like grammar counter for next week.
Are there really grammar counters?
Oh yeah. and
Wow.
they count ums and ohs, which is useful. But deciding who to do it and like telling how well they did at grammar counting, because that's a thing too. They evaluate the grammar counter.
They evaluate the grammar counter.
It's a fucking mess.
Jesus Christ!
It's like I mean, like it can be, you know, and again, you can have fun with it, but like when people start taking it seriously and just and it's Orange County anyway, Huntington Beach, and they're uptight, just like motherfucking Republicans. And they're all patriotic, like they stand up to salute the flag to begin the meeting.
Oh my God!
Like, am I in court?
Right. I liked that when I was in school. I think maybe past elementary school, definitely by high school, they stopped having us stand up, salute the flag, and say the Pledge of Allegiance. Which I know a lot of those hardcore patriotic Republicans want to put church back in school and want us to salute the flag and do the Pledge of Allegiance. Fucking calm down. Like there is so much other shit to be doing. I mean, but I was thankful when they stopped making us do that.
I did the thing where I was like, I stopped. Those kids, like, you know, like I read about those kids, like the Mormons who wouldn't say the pledge, and like sometime in 7th or 8th grade, I stopped doing it. And that was my fault. My mom got a fun phone call from the school principal on that day. That was a fun day for her. She's like, because there's always one kid in the fucking 300-person class who does that.
Yeah.
And they're like, great, it's my kid.
You were that kid. The parents like, Jesus Christ, it's Doug. Doug's always such a problem.
We just moved too from like Staten Island to New Jersey.
And right off the bat, you're just causing problems.
It wasn't the first day, but it was the first year. Yeah. I'm in. Let's do this.
Yeah, I was pretty good as a kid. I mean, like I was terrible at homework. I didn't become a shitty student until I moved out of my parents' house after my junior year.
Nice.
A friend of mine, like I grew up in Santa Cruz, which if you don't know where that is, it's about an hour and a half south of San Francisco.
UC Santa Cruz, banana slugs.
Yeah, banana slugs. So I moved out of my parents' house in Santa Cruz, and I moved to fucking Redding, which sucks. Redding is awful. But a friend of mine had started a band, and he said, hey, come finish your senior year up with us, join the band, and we'll, be rock stars. I'm like, that sounds like a great idea. I became a terrible student then. Like I moved into my buddy's place in Redding, and my senior year, my absent count, I missed 92 days.
Wait, so you were in a different school?
Yeah, I went to a different school to graduate.
Okay.
I went to Enterprise High School in Redding, California.
Oh man, you were doomed.
I was doomed.
Why'd your parents let you?
You know what, because like I think my father was the one who talked my mom into it, going, you know what, he's 17 years old. We gotta let him make his own mistakes, and they did.
Oh, well, I got a good story. All right, so 17. I graduated high school at 17.
Oh, nice.
And things were not good at home. But like, well, I gotta figure out where. I don't want to go too deep in this, but like, there was a time my mom kicked me out of the house and said, "Don't come home," and my plan was to sleep in the doorway of the school. And it was like snowing. It was like New Jersey in the winter. And, And I was like, because I grew up in New Jersey in a suburb where like image was everything. Like it was a place where everything got status symbols and have like a Mercedes. And my parents weren't rich, but it was like the community where like if you didn't have a Mercedes, like you could be judged.
Oh yeah.
And we didn't, but like my mom was always pissed at my dad because we didn't have one. And so like I knew like if the whole school showed up and I was like sleeping on the doorstep,
that it would really, really fuck up their status.
Oh, it would be talked about. And so I was on the track team, and I'm like, I went and did the track meet, coming back, and I'm like, yeah. He's like, are you gonna? He's like, so like everyone's waiting around for their mom and dad to pick them up from the school, and my coach is like, you gonna call your mom and dad? I'm like, no, I was kicked out. I'm just gonna sleep here.
How'd that go over?
A coach did not take that well. It's like, you can't do that. I was like, I'm open to other options. He's like, let me take you to the police station. You can talk to them. I'm like, okay, that still serves my purpose.
Yeah.
But apparently, I guess, they have your parents' number, so they called, and by the time I got to the police station, my family was there.
Oh. Which still served the purpose a little bit. The fact that your parents had to show up at the local police station.
Yeah, but I didn't go inside the police station. Like, I wasn't talking to the cops yet. They were in the parking lot.
That's too bad.
He snuck a phone call in there. But he did drive me to the police station, so there was that. So my coach was in. So I don't know how far that gossip spread, but that was a pretty good day.
There's a show based kind of around that same premise called Suburbia. It came out, it's defunct now, but it was on, I think, for 3 seasons. And it was about these people from New York who move into the suburbs of New Jersey, and just how it's all about status quo. It's all about, the house you have and the cars and how fancy your shit is.
Well, much later, Snooki went to my high school. She graduated from Marlboro High School.
Oh, no kidding.
Yeah. Oh, and that's the coach that I talk about in my Facebook post where I was like, 2 life lessons.
Yeah.
And where my coach was like, because I tried out for sprinter, and he's like, Doug, you're just the fucking worst sprinter I've ever seen. And so you kind of jump in and do the mile every now and then. Why don't you do long distance or I'm going to have to cut you? And no one gets cut from the track team.
No, because there's not enough kids who want to do track.
Yeah, but he's like, dude, you're so fucking bad.
He's like, you're terrible at the sprint. So despite the fact we don't got a lot of kids that do it, you're not one of them.
So it turned out, when I started doing the mile, my average lap time for the mile was about 70 seconds, which comes out to about a 6-minute mile or so.
Yeah, that's good.
But my sprint for the 400, which is 1 lap, was 68 seconds. So my all-out sprint was 2 seconds faster than my average pacing. Yeah.
Your coach may have been onto something.
Oh yeah, no, I could keep up that pace for a while, but I couldn't exceed that. Oh man, I was so body mechanics, man.
Reminds me a little bit of was it Gimli in Lord of the Rings?
Yeah, can't go fast but go forever.
Right, can't go fast but go forever.
That was me, man.
Well, and you make a joke about being an orc.
Oh yeah, I haven't done that for a while. The ugliest orc in Middle Earth.
Right.
Not even a good-looking orc.
Yeah. Right? It's the orc that all the other orcs kind of shun.
It's the Rudolph the red-nosed reindeer of orcs.
Right.
I gotta think about how to work that in. Rudolph, the no-nosed orc. The big nose, I don't even know.
The big-nosed orc.
Yeah, we'll figure it out.
I actually just recently heard something a little bit bizarre about Rudolph. That somebody, because people have way too much fucking time on their hands these days, and someone was doing research, they had watched that Rudolph Christmas special, and they talked about how Rudolph has to be a girl because the male reindeer lose their antlers before winter starts, and in the show, Rudolph has antlers, and so that their assumption on that was that Rudolph had to be a girl, which means that when Rudolph had a girlfriend, that Rudolph was a gay reindeer. It was
a lesbian reindeer.
Right, it's like a lesbian reindeer.
Here's what could be better than that, right? Rudolph the rug-munching reindeer. I gotta figure out how to tie it in.
But someone literally wrote a paper about that.
We got time, man. It can't all be like in the superhero movies.
And in that context, that show is vastly weird. Because a lot of the reindeers...
What makes it weird. The Isle of Misfit toys. The elf wants to be a dentist and who's totally gay.
Right.
How is that? Why are we worrying about Rudolph being a lesbian? Let's talk about the elf.
The elf who was clearly gay, wanting to be a dentist.
And I mean, to stand out and being gay in a community of everyone who wears fucking tights and curled up shoes.
Right? He's the weird one because he's gay, but everyone else is in tights and shoes with the little bells and stuff.
The fucking gayest elf in New York, right? And that is the thing that weirds it out for you, is that because they didn't get the antlers of reindeer shedding pattern correct, that's what makes it weird.
Yeah. That's a weird special. That whole island of Misfit toys, it's a really dark animated show. I mean, I didn't think that much about it. Like, I own it, and I watch it every year. I watch the Peanuts holiday specials. I in fact, I own them. They're all on my shelf, but I never thought about it like that. But Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer is dark. I mean, it's a really, for a holiday special, it's dark. That island of Misfit toys is sad.
Wait, you derailed me. Okay, so I was 17. And we went to the lesbian reindeer, but where I was going with this is that, so like for the last, I was like not going to go to college because I knew my dad was going to like lie on the financial aid application, and I didn't want, I've always been pretty honest, but I didn't want like to begin my life as an independent person with like
living a
like
lie.
lies, yeah.
Which is noble of you.
Well, yeah, he didn't see it that way.
A lot of people wouldn't.
So I'm like, I'm not going to college, and I'm like, I'm going to join the military. And like 2 people in my graduating class out of like 400 didn't go to college. Because again, it was a suburb. No, a lot of them went to community college, but they went to some college. One guy.
It's not like you went to you lived in a higher.
It was a suburb, but like
it was a suburb.
He went to. So one guy joined the Marines, and I joined the Coast Guard. So we represented two people.
Wow, out of a whole graduation class.
Yeah, that's it. And but I wanted to go in, and unfortunately, I was going to be 17 when I graduated because I was a youngin.
Oh, that means you're too early for the military, right?
Yeah. So like there was this basically for 6 months, the last 6 months of my being in home, me and my dad really didn't talk. So like I would do a sports or and track until like 6 p.m. I'd get home, get on my bike, and go hang out in the library at 10 p.m. So that was my rebellion.
Oh, so you were just like, fuck it, I just won't be home.
Just not being home, but like not drinking beer at the liquor store or getting high.
What was it, getting high or drinking? I was at the library learning.
I'll show you. Fuck you, I won't do what you tell me.
Right, I'm not going to go to college, but I'm going to go to that fucking library and learn some shit. I got 6 months to go before the military. I can learn a lot. And it's free.
So the great compromise that was reached was my dad reached out to a recruiter, and I signed up as a reserve to go into the reserve, and basically, because I would be like, 2 weeks a year and every week, 1 week.
Oh, sure.
And like, okay, I still go to boot camp right out of high school, so it's okay. And then after the paperwork was signed and my parents signed, I went to talk to my, there, and they're like, okay, so you're gonna go to the reserve? I'm like, yeah, and then I'm gonna switch to active after. And he's like, nothing in this form that they signed says reserve. If you want to go active, we can just send you to active.
No shit.
And I'm like,
hell yeah. That's what I wanted in the first place.
Yeah, so they just, they needed a signature to get me in, but to switch from reserve to active didn't require any signatures.
He's like, oh yeah, we can use this same form, it's fine. Yeah. You're like, nah, bitchin'.
So,
I bet your dad was surprised.
Oh yeah. I didn't speak to my family for a year.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's tough. I've never had anything like that. Aside from, my mother did not speak to me for a month. We're running long.
Well, what did you do?
I'll make this quick.
Why did your mom not speak to
you?
you?
So my mother didn't talk to me for a month because she heard from independent parties that on election day, after President Dumbass won, I went on Twitter and posted, well, Trump may have won the election, but California legalized marijuana. So I'm going to start getting on that weed smoking now so I can forget the election even happened. Which it was
That's a
just
perfect tweet. What's wrong
right,
with that? Yeah.
Perfect tweet. Great joke. Well structured. Independent people approached my mom and told her about this joke, and my mom was so mad that I was talking about smoking weed on the social media. She didn't talk to me for a month.
Well, that's good.
It was ridiculous, and eventually I had to call her. Like, she wasn't taking my calls. Eventually, like, I had to tell my dad, "Can you just fucking talk to that lady?"
So Richard's parents are pretty cool,
Yeah.
and I met them at the last show, and like they were super nice and good people, but they're Republican, and they did not appreciate my bit about how I prefer murderers to Republicans.
No, my dad said that if he drove up today, that he's like, I can't guarantee I'm not going to start heckling your friend when he starts making Republican jokes.
Well, I don't know if it was
well, he's fine with that, so it's okay.
I don't know if he was your dad or if your dad's friend, because it came from that area. When I do this bit and I'm like, murderers are fine, they're good people, they pay on time, because I'm a criminal defense attorney. And he goes, typical lefty, or typical liberal. And I want to know what liberal is typically saying, murderers are fine, they pay on time, because that seems to me a pretty conservative viewpoint.
Right, generally, as liberals, we're not real big on shooting people.
Or like,
killing them in general.
Or prioritizing money, and that if you pay on time, it's okay if you have moral failings. Seems a lot more of a conservative viewpoint.
Yeah, that was my uncle.
Okay.
His brother.
But so I'm just trying to figure out what view do you have of what the typical liberal is saying?
There's no telling, man. They make up so many stories about us.
I guess defending murderers, maybe. Like we're all like, super sympathetic or always like forgiving and saying it's society's fault. But I wasn't saying that. No. I was saying I got no problem with them, not because like I feel they're in that portion of it. It wasn't about the values or society fucking up. It was about they pay me on time, and I'm okay. And how is that not a conservative point of view? Anyway, on that awesome note,